Hello everyone, today is going to be a different video. Now you may know Kill Bill Volume 2 turned 20 years old back in March, and as a fan of Tarantino films and action films, you may wonder why I didn't go over it. I saw this film at a very specific time in my life, going from being a child to a teenager. And on August 10th, this film came out. My mom and I were going out to rent it. All of us as a family just moved to South Texas from like the Austin area. And my dad had a new job. And it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, we wanted to see Kill Bill 2. We saw, as I said in my Punisher 20th anniversary, The Punisher instead. But Kill Bill, I really wanted to see, not only with the confrontation of Bill, but the cliffhanger of Volume 1. We went to Hollywood Video. Yeah, don't you miss video rental stores? And all the DVDs were rented out. There was a VHS. That was like one of the last VHSs I rented. My father was kind of feeling under the weather around that time at night. My brother was busy with college work, so he saw it with me the next day on August 11th that morning. But it was my mom, dad, and I, and we were watching Kill Bill Volume 2. And who could forget that opening that we saw from the teaser, Silhouette of Doom by Ennio Morricone from Navajo Joe, that dun 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 dun. That black and white opening showing the flashback of what happened at the chapel in El Paso, onto the bloody path of revenge. This is more spaghetti western influenced. And it's weird because you can watch both of them and it's like one crazy mix of genres as one long film. But Volume 2, I feel, is superior, and it's probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. We saw the revelations. We saw Michael Madsen as Bud. We saw what happened with Elle. That whole part was like, bitch, you don't have a future. The music there, all the way to David Carradine's past with the bride, their romance, and then ultimately that final confrontation. So heartfelt. There is a deeper story here. There is more to that story than we once thought. And it was a deep film. I also love David Carradine's speech about Superman, and he's pretends to be Clark Kent, but he was born Superman, just like Beatrix Kiddo is always going to be a killer. You can't hide that. I love that analogy and the way Tarantino wrote that scene, the use of music. Malaguena Saya Rosa by Chingon, Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, that was nice hearing that at the end with like the cast. Oh man, this was just a tour de force from start to finish, and we enjoyed that film. My father and mom went to their room. We were in a rental home, so there was 2 stories. They had an upstairs. And I took the VHS out, went to my room, rewound it, and watched it again. It was a dark time. I was getting used to moving. I didn't go to school yet. And that was kind of another story to itself, the first year at least. And it was one of those where I was down in South Texas. It is kind of barren. It does feel like a spaghetti western at times. So I related to it, the violence, the darkness, the emotion. I was getting into Quentin Tarantino. From then on, later that year, my mom found Pulp Fiction on DVD. And I started getting into other movies. And, Once Upon a Time in Mexico the year before influenced me and inspired me, showed me as a reality to be a filmmaker. And this further enhanced that. And I watched it. On August 11th, my brother was up and my mom was there, but my father wasn't feeling good, so they took him to the doctor. And it was quite some time. My brother kind of just looked over me. I kind of suspected something more was going on, but I wasn't quite sure. I thought, well, he's just feeling sick with the flu or something. Maybe they'll run some tests. And my brother watched Kill Bill 2 with me. We enjoyed it, watched it on the VCR. And after that, he went to work on some stuff and then called my mom. And I was playing Medal of Honor Rising Sun around the time. And it wasn't until I realized later that afternoon that something more was going on, because they were gone a while. And I overheard them talking about like my father bleeding and having to be getting medical attention. And that evening changed my life in more than one way. 20 years ago today, the doctors looked and pretty much said my father had colon cancer. And my mom, that's a lot for a spouse to go through, but she was kind of a wreck. I was just feeling mad, Like I was sad and nervous, but to the point where I just wanted to punch something, you know? You know that scene in RoboCop where he's like going through the house and you just feel that emotion, just like you're just pissed off. But luckily, we had a surgeon who had military experience down there, Dr. Obalo, and he said, I can do this surgery. And they performed, and they were able to catch it early, but we still had to take him, we still had to take him to chemotherapy treatments for about a couple of years. And it was one of those things where I was an absolute wreck. I just hated moving to another area. It wasn't the city. I had no friends. Everything was just darkness in my life at that point. And the reason why I'm sharing this story is that Kill Bill not only inspired me, but it brought a lot of comfort during that dark time. But that night, I went, got a cross that was my grandmother's, and prayed to God that everything would be okay. And I said, just at least give me like 20 more years or something, you know? And and what do you know? It's 20 years now. And I was a person that, you know, my family's Catholic. We went to church, but it always felt like an obligation. And it wasn't until that moment there that I prayed, and then that my father, you know, survived that night, that I started to actually believe. You know, that was proof to me that there is a God, you know, and that things happen for a reason. It may not be for you, but others. I mean, you may be in an area or a place for a specific reason. And that day changed me forever. And the reason why I'm getting kind of emotional now is because, you know, I said 20 more years, and now we're 20 years, you know. After chemotherapy treatments for a couple of years, he had his cancer in remission. And, you know, I'm just blessed to have him so far, you know. And it's one of those things where, I don't know, I just feel like I'm on borrowed time, you know. I feel like I'm Sarah Connor, re-averted Judgment Day. Every day from this day forward is a gift. Use it well, you know. So, like, no matter what happens, as sad as I may feel, I don't feel a sense of, like, I will feel a sense of loss, but it's like I had my time, you know, when everything was riding against it. I went through a year without any friends. It was a dark time going through that. And as dark as that first year was, 4 years later, I'm in high school, and with media tech, I got to make my first short film with a group of others. Was it the best? No, there was a lot of trials and tribulation, but I'm thankful to get through that early. Got some awards in one-act play. The district did well with my father as superintendent. He really did a lot in the short time he was there. And on graduation, my father was able to give me my diploma in high school. I mean, how many people can say that? I just feel so blessed the way we ended things in South Texas compared to how they began, you know? And, you know, eventually he got to see his grandkids grow up, got to meet a new grandkid, my brother's daughter, Athena, and got to see me graduate from UT Austin, radio, television, and film. And we got to experience a lot of stuff, you know, like any person's life, there are a lot of ups and downs, but we had so many great memories and highlight moments. Our trip to the Terminator premiere, we got to see Paramount Studios. You know, with your parents getting older, if you're out there, you know, time is precious and you may avert certain things, but some things kind of catch up. And, you know, I'm just thankful for the time that I do have. And I'm just thankful that I got 20 years with my father, you know, when 20 years ago, that was almost not a reality if it were not for a specific place at a specific time. And we all go through our struggles, you know. We all have our ups and downs. But sometimes I do believe things happen for a reason. And it may be for you or someone else, but it does happen for a reason. And that day, it made me a believer. And I just think about that 20 years later. And I also think about the power of film and how you can associate a feeling, emotion you have, whether it's with other people in a theater, whether it's at home with your loved ones. There's something powerful about art, about literature, about film, music, that just, you know, the place and time when you first heard something or saw something. And Kill Bill 2 does that to me every time I watch it. I always think of that, and especially on this day. It not only influenced me as a filmmaker, but that life experience associated with Kill Bill 2 influenced me and made me the man I am today. And let me tell you, there's been a lot of ups and downs since, but regardless of it, I wouldn't take it back. And I'm just thankful and blessed for everything these past 2 decades. I know it's a little bit of a downer for people out there, but it's just a story that I wanted to share on this 20th anniversary. And sometimes people aren't that lucky, you know, and it sucks. You know what? Fuck cancer. Yeah, fuck it right up its ass. Fuck cancer. Seriously, it's the worst fucking thing imaginable, and I just hate it. And you know, 2 decades later, I found out that my mentor in media tech, one of the teachers, Benny Guerra, he passed away after a battle with cancer. And that saddens me because my friend Fernando out there, fellow videographer out there, you know, we took so many trips on that Jeep going to do stories. I learned so much in media tech that I'm glad that I had certain ups and downs and experiences on that in high school before film school. Not only being a videographer, but also when we did our PSA drinking and driving film. That didn't turn out the way I imagined it or the way the script was written, but that was still an experience to be had. And it's just sad what that disease does to people. And I just think of the moments in my life and the people that helped shape who I am today. And I just wanted to share this quick story to everyone out there. I know this is a bit of a downer. We'll get back to other videos later, but on this specific anniversary, I am just reflective. And overall, I feel blessed. And I just wanted to kind of get this out as a form of catharsis, you know. And a day that changed my life forever, and then reflecting on the people around that time that shaped my life. And ultimately, what cancer does to an individual and what it does to all of us, you know. It's something we all face with mortality. And I think the biggest lesson is escape in art, but also just cherish the times with your loved ones. Tell them you love them while they're still here, okay? I guess that's the message I'm trying to get across here. Count your blessings and tell the people you love them while they're still here. Anyway, that does it for this video. In the meantime, you could check out other videos on the channel. I'll have unboxings later on, and hopefully you get to see some new short films that this experience in my life, this moment in life, helps shape years later. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.